This is a guide on how to use LFOs and envelopes on MORTRIX. Before we start, we go into the global settings and ensure that UI mode is set to full. And now we can go into our scene. Let's create a new preset here. And inside the preset, we have now a while active tab available to us. We go in here, click the plus, and we can now select to add an envelope on LFO. Let's start with an LFO. And we get a default sine curve running at a rate of 1 Hertz. We can open it up. And first we have a view of the waveform. We can drag these sliders to change the phase and the duty cycle. And here we can add messages that this LFO should manipulate. In this case, I'm going to select a device function for this automaton pedal, and I'm going to select the pre-delay. And the default is to control the full range from 0 to 127. So let's try that. Go back out. We now see a graphic illustration of the LFO curve or the waveform. And when we activate, we can see a live readout here. And in this case, we can also see how the pedal reacts in real time. Let's go back in and try something else. Let's try to change the waveform to maybe a saw. And we'll just leave the phase and duty cycle as is, but we're going to change the range to roughly half of what's available. Again, we try, and we can see how it now comes up slowly and comes down very fast. One thing to keep in mind when using LFOs is that they can generate a lot of metadata. So if we are sending a lot of other things, or we have multiple LFOs running, we can actually saturate the serial MIDI bus, meaning that we can generate more MIDI messages than it's possible to push through the cable, basically. So if we are in that situation, let's go back to a sine curve here, we can select to increase the threshold. So let's say 5. And that basically means that MORTRIX will only send out a MIDI message when we have a delta or a difference of 5 since the last MIDI message going out. So that means if we start again, we still get a fairly nice sine curve output here, but we are now only generating 1/5 of the MIDI data. And that might become important if you are generating a lot of MIDI data with MORTRIX. Now let's have a look at envelopes. For this, I'm going to create a new preset. Again, go into while active, and this time I'll add an envelope. So this is the default envelope. As before, we can drag these sliders, control the sustain level, release time, decay time, attack time. We can also, with these crosshairs, control the shape of the curve, like this. And let's set this as something a little bit sensible, maybe. Like this. And again, we need to tell this envelope what to control. So I'm going to go into my device library and select the mix control on this unit over here. I can select the range that I would like it to operate in, but for this demo, I'm going to leave it at the full range so we can better see what's going on. So this now means that when I activate this preset, this envelope will spend 2.17 seconds to go from 0 to 127, which is 100%. Then it will spend 2.18 seconds going from 100% down to 55%. and then it will sit there until I turn the preset off, and then after that, it will spend 3.13 seconds to slowly move down to 0 again. Let's have a look at that. Again, we see a visual representation of the envelope curve, and when we activate, see it comes up to the maximum, comes down to a bit over halfway, and when I turn my preset off, it comes down towards 0. The little bit of jaggedness you see in the movement here is not due to the MIDI data, but due to the motors inside of these faders that needs a bit of extra energy to start moving. So that is why they're not following the smooth MIDI data 100%. If we go back in here, we also have options to change this to from an ADSR envelope to a more advanced envelope that has a initial delay stage, and also have a hold stage at the between the attack and the decay. Let's not do that for now. Let's leave it like this. And then we also have a repeats function. So if we say I want 2 repeats, let's just try to see how that looks. I activate, it runs the attack and the decay stages, and then it restarts the attack and the decay and repeats that 2 times. And now it will sit at the sustain level again until I deactivate my preset, and it will come down.